tonight and being here at the open house. Have a little presentation for you, and gave this presentation just at 5 o'clock. So everyone was going to, same information as we gave last time. What this is just a come and go open house. So if you weren't here at 5, you could hear this presentation. And so what we're going to do is sort of do a little walk through what we have, and we'll have boards in the other room to really get your input, where we can get your written comments on there. But want to lay out what we've been doing so you know what's been going on. My name is Daniel Harrison. I work for a company called Freese & Nichols. I'm a city planner. What we do at Freese & Nichols is we work with cities and counties, working on all different sets of plans about development. So with me tonight is Erica Craycraft. She's out there working the boards, along with Connor Roberts, been part of the team developing the plan. So what we'll do is do a little planning 101. What are we talking about? What is planning? What is the future land use plan? Then we'll do a project overview. We'll talk about next steps, and I'll give you some information about filling out the boards and how those are going to work and how we're going to use those. So a little bit about our project schedule. We started back in February, getting input from people. We had an open house back then. We had an online open house. This open house that we're having tonight is also online. So if you have a neighbor or family member you want to add their comments to the board comments that we have out there, they can do that. So we got input, and then we proceeded to work with a citizen steering committee to help us develop the plan. Once we had a plan, through June and October, we worked with that steering committee to revise that plan. Once we had recommendations in there, we worked with that steering committee to work on that. And then we're in the process now of collecting more feedback now that we have a draft for people to download and comment on. What we'll do after tonight, we'll take the comments to back at a joint workshop to the council and P&Z to let them know these are what people said about the plan, if we need to make any changes. And then looking at December for adoption, that would be a public hearing at the Planning and Zoning Commission and a meeting at the council to formally adopt the future land use plan. So a little bit about Planning 101. So cities in the state of Texas, we get our power to plan from the state. So they set up what we can do for comprehensive plans, also zoning, subdivision regulations. So really we get enabled by the state to provide for the health, safety, and welfare of the community. We have, here's a copy of the 2012 Future Land Use Plan. So if you think about 2012, a lot has happened since 2012. We've doubled in size, so there's a lot of things that have changed. Council's using this document for guidance about how to make zoning decisions and other things like that. So we want a current plan that reflects where we are. There's other types of plan that the city will have: Parks Master Plan, Master Thoroughfare Plan. Those are all things that we've taken a look at and considered in this development. So we have the city council, and of course they're a group of elected volunteers really passionate about the city. And so the purpose that we have them for is to make decisions for us as a community, because we all don't want to come down to City Hall and answer every question by a popular vote. So we have our city council to help make decisions for us. But one of the things that is very helpful for a council member is they want to have the best information available so they can make informed decisions. So if you're making an informed decision as a council member, that's a good thing, because people are going to ask you, what did you use to make your decision? Most council members are just not going to want to say, well, this is just how I felt about it. They want to say, I've looked at the issues, we have this plan that's guiding my decision. But it's not the plan only that the council member is going to take a look at to make their decision. We have the Planning and Zoning Commission. They help provide recommendations to the city council. We have public meetings where they listen to the public. When we have, if it's a rezoning case and we have a public hearing, that's an opportunity for people to come out and tell the council what they think. We also have city staff. They write reports. They help interpret the plans and make recommendations to the city council members about what a plan says. So there's lots of sources of input, but what we're having right now, the future land use plan, it's a very critical piece of that puzzle that the council is going to take a look at. because as we've crafted this plan, we've looked at the city as a whole. There's really not a hot button issue that's in front of the council that they're trying to decide, do we go this way or that way? We've asked people as a whole, what do they think about the city? How do they want to see it develop? And how do we want to move forward? So with that, they'll go ahead and make zoning decisions, decisions related to subdivision regulations, capital improvement programs, sort of like where do we build roads, where do we build parks, things like that. So we're looking at 10 to 20 years out in the future. So if we're thinking, what does the city look like in 2033, 2043? I know that's pretty far out, but as we looked in the last 10 years, there's twice as many people here as there used to be. So we're trying to do the best we can to plan and make good decisions with our resources that we have as a city. But what the plan is not, most people are familiar with zoning, because zoning's if you own property inside the city limits, your property's owned something, whether it's for single family homes or maybe it's a retail or industrial use, your property is zoned for something. But that's not what we're here tonight to determine, because you already have zoning in place. What this future land use plan is, as that zoning is updated over time, we want to look back at the plan and say, does this match where we want to go in the future? And that, once again, that's a big piece for the council to consider. So project overview. We do have a project website. This QR code will also be out there, so if you don't have a second to take a picture of that. But the QR code's there. You can go to MansfieldTexas.gov to look at all this information as well. It's all available online. If we look at the chapters that we have in the plan, we have our plan framework, sort of explain what the plan is all about. We have our future land use plan. We also have our special area plans. I'll mention those, talk about those here in just a second. And then we have an implementation plan, putting all these things together with a timeline about when do we want to try to achieve these recommendations. So just a real quick population chart here, so you could see we've grown a lot in recent time. And as I mentioned, 2012, about half the population of where we are right now, about 82,000 people. Other information that you may find useful for you, we have information about housing value, median income, age breakdown, ratios between men and women, all that stuff, so you could see just sort of who makes up the city. And it is reflective of a younger community with children, because as you can see, some of our age cohorts or age brackets have larger, younger populations. We also have in there just useful information if you're curious about how much, what's our ratio between single family homes and all our different types of housing options on there. That is all on the screen. And this PowerPoint will also be on the website too, so you can get a better look, just in case I cut you if I scroll too fast. We do have a mission statement for the plan that the council had worked on at a retreat. And one of the things I just really want to point out is our guiding principles we get from the mission statement. We talk about being sustainable, quality of life, our built natural environment, and being an inclusive community for all. What does that mean? We have some slides for that. So when we talk about our guiding principles, when we have recommendations, we want to look back and see, we have these 5 buckets here, and we want to make sure our recommendations really fit within these 5 buckets or multiples of these buckets. So this is what people have told us is important for them. So this is how we're evaluating our recommendations moving forward. So sustainable land use practices. Mansfield should strive to be an environmentally and fiscally sustainable community, ensure resources are efficiently managed for future generations, specifically regarding land development and the natural environment. So we want to be sustainable. Elevated quality of life. Mansfield residents should feel comfortable and safe, both physically and socially. The city should be walkable and designed with pedestrians, cyclists, and vehicles in mind. Residents should be able to access services within a range without any constraints related to their mobility. So having things that are close by. We talk about protecting the built environment. The city's built environment should protect existing neighborhoods. value the existing neighborhoods that are here right now. We want to make sure that those are protected as development occurs. We want to do that by reinvesting in areas that need attention. So whether it's the maintenance of sidewalks or things that we have in our existing neighborhoods, we want to focus on that. The city should prioritize maintaining the small town charm of Mansfield by fostering neighborhood pride and historic preservation. The small town feel is very important for a lot of people, and that's something that we want to reflect in the plan and maintaining that. The natural environment, protection of that was also very important. Mansfield should protect the natural environment by, prioritizing the preservation of trees and other natural resources. The city should ensure that new development considers the implementation of parks and natural gathering spaces, ultimately using nature as a resource. Parks and trails, very important, the expansion of that, offering those type of services to the community. Once again, that goes back to also to our small town character, having those outdoor places for whether it's children or younger people or older people. All these outdoor areas are places where we can really focus on that multi-generational approach, because these quality outdoor places are used by all. And speaking of all, inclusive future for all. The city should create welcoming spaces and options that seek to connect multiple multi-generational communities together. We heard a lot about we want to make sure once our kids graduate high school, graduate college, they can come back here and live. We also want have opportunities to move up. Maybe this is my first home that I bought. I want to be able to stay here in Mansfield. I don't want to have to change school districts and all those things. But also, once my kids are gone, I want to pare down my house. I don't necessarily need all the space and maintenance that I may have with a larger lot and property. So the city should represent a community that's diverse in culture, background, income, and ages. So we have a land use map. You'll see a picture, or you'll see a board of that outside, really focusing on 4 areas. We talk about neighborhoods and housing, our mixed-use areas. We also have parks and public spaces, element for that, and then retail and employment. So where are our retail and employment centers going to be? We have that listed. A little bit about each one of those. We talk about ways to address housing, single-family homes. Of course, that's a predominant type. That's going to be something that we always have, but also having that opportunity to diversify basically the options that you have in the city. We talked about mixed use. Here's a couple of pictures about how that could look as these areas are developed. How do we make sure that we're looking at the best designs that we have for mixed use, whether when we're talking about, that's a way that we can provide some additional housing opportunities where we have a first floor being restaurant or retail or office with our living units above that. We talk about parks and public open spaces. We talk about partnering with artists in the community to commission pieces and installations that reflect the city's character and vision. We want to make sure we're having things that are local and specific to the city. So as we go out and we enjoy our outdoor areas, we're engaged with arts and other things that really we have a lot of pride in our community. Looking at retail employment, working with developers to identify small-scale offices and business opportunities, actively soliciting business partners to seek employment for residents. Of course, bringing jobs here to the city is a very important part of what we're trying to achieve. So we have different spaces on that future land use plan for that, and more discussion about what that looks like. Then we have 5 special area plans, so we dive into a little bit more detail for these areas. The first one we talk about is downtown. We look at downtown. We want to consider whether we're looking at downtown, we want a thriving downtown. People are very passionate about downtown. We had stakeholder meetings with business owners. What were some of their top issues? Slowing down traffic on the roads. Was there a road diet? We want to make things pedestrian friendly for people to walk walkabout? Could there be a mid-block crossing here in downtown? Ways for people to safely enjoy downtown. Then we talked, moving a little bit to the east, we talked about the entertainment district, all the opportunities that are over there. We also spoke to landowners. We had stakeholder meetings for all these different areas and all the land, not every landowner, but stakeholders in those areas about their developments that they were pursuing. And as far as looking at this area, that'd be more entertainment venues that you'd have on the east side. The link, using economic development tools to economic development efforts have been ongoing to bring businesses into this area, where this would be a place for employers to provide campus type developments and also housing for their employees out in this area. And so that's one of the economic development efforts that have been under consideration. Moving to the west, the Western Promise. This area is inside the city limits. And as far as development, what was concerned or what was planned for this area, there is new infrastructure that would need to be expanded for this area to develop appropriately. We also identified corridors to connect neighborhoods to areas of meaningful employment, retail, and services. As this area develops, we want to make sure that people can easily get to and from the places that they want to go. And provide residents with access to nature was another thing. As we met with people in this area, they wanted to preserve that natural feeling on the west side. Lastly is our extraterritorial jurisdiction. This area is actually not within the city limits. The thing that's unique about this area is anyone who's in this area can voluntarily annex into the city limits if they want to provide, if they want to have city services, elements like that. So taking a look at, and the state has really changed how this is used to. It was not always voluntary annexation. The city could expand out in this area, but if we're going to expand water, sewer, those type of things in this area, what would that look like? So really just taking a look at keeping this area more residential in nature further to the west. We do wrap this up with a to-do list with action items. We'll look at a page that shows us we have estimates for what the cost of different things, timelines as well, and then we're responsible leads, who's responsible in the city for what department for these various recommendations. And so this is just an example of how that matrix really looks at the end. Once again, we'll have this outside for you to take a look at and go into in detail, and it will still be online for the online open house as well. So our next steps, what we'll do is after our feedback tonight, we'll have that joint workshop with the council and P&Z to go through the input that we have tonight, see if there's anything we need to change in the plan based upon the comments, make those changes, and then proceed forward on December 4th at the P&Z for a public hearing, and then we'll do a public hearing at the City Council on December 11th as a tentative date for that. So with tonight's activities, what we have is informational boards that we start over here and then work your way around. That's how they're sort of organized. We have the mission statement. You can see all the guiding principles that we went through. If you like the guiding principles, if you don't like the guiding principles, please let us know. We have sticky notes out there so you can write down your comment and then stick it on the board. Feel free to look at everyone else's comments if you want to see what other people have said, and you can put that on the board. Then when we have our future land use map that has a little bit more explanation about what's included in all those categories that you'll see on the map. Like I said, and Erica and Connor and I will be back there answering your questions as well at the boards. We also have several members of our steering committee here tonight. So if you have just a sort of a question on your face or someone to say, hey, someone help answer a question for me, just let us know. We're happy to do that. And then when we get to our special planning areas, once again, they're just a summary sheet of what the recommendations are for those areas, and we'll be there to answer your questions for those as well. So with that, There's no formal close to the meeting. Feel free just to walk around and to fill out those boards. There's refreshments. Please take those. And then if you can, please stay for the presentation at 6:30.